Hi, everyone. Welcome to SnackBreak. I'm Chloe Kaufman. I'm the marketing associate here at SnackMagic. I'm joined here with Greg Travers, who's our content producer. And today we're going to be talking to John Bronson. He's a former NFL player for the Arizona Cardinals. More recently, he started a company called Finger Lickin' Dutch in 2017. They make Stroopwafels, which is a timeless breakfast treat enjoyed by the Dutch for over 200 years. And you can currently find Finger Lickin' Dutch Stroopwafels on the SnackMagic menu. Thank you for joining us, John.
Thank you for having me, Chloe.
Of course. So let's just start at the beginning. Tell us a little about yourself.
Yeah, so I'm from Washington State. I come from a sports family. I'm the oldest of four siblings, which all have been in sports. Just to give some little tidbit to my siblings, my sister was a college track and basketball athlete, and my middle brother played football, running back, special, played for the Seattle Seahawks and the University of Washington Huskies in Eastern Washington. And then my younger brother, who's going to the draft this year, he played for University of Washington, and hopefully he'll be selected this year at the draft. So I come from a long history of sports in my family. My dad was in the military, so we lived and traveled everywhere. So we'll talk about the Stroopwafels, kind of bringing it home here. Travel is kind of like in my blood, just being in a military family. I was born in Hawaii and lived in Germany and New York and all kind of different places. So,
like, were you living in Holland when you were younger? Why Stroopwafels?
I was at a time where I met Femke, who's my partner in Finger Lickin' Dutch, and she's from the Netherlands. And so on one of our first dates, she gave me a Stroopwafel, one of the Stroopwafels. I loved it, became a super fan. And I was just like, where do I get these? And then we'll go back to the U.S. and come back, and you never get to find them readily available. So she had a lot of connections in Holland, I in the U.S., and we just put our heads together and decided to be able to produce and import the authentic Stroopwafels almost to where they were originated from Holland to the U.S. So that is how I got a stroke from sports, which I skipped over a little bit. From sports to Stroopwafels, a totally different world that I love, though.
So how do you eat a Stroopwafel? Like, what are the other different ways to eat it, or is there like one specific way to eat one?
No, there's many different ways to eat it. Some of my favorites I give you. First of all, like, you can have it straight out of the pack, like on SnackMagic. You can just grab them, eat them as a snack, 1 or 2 pack. Or one of my favorites, that's also one of the most popular. You can put the Stroopwafel on top of your coffee and hot coffee or tea, and then you let the Stroopwafel heat up and it'll melt the caramel in the middle. Or one of my personal favorites for like a dinner dessert, especially if you have a barbecue or something, it's like my top secret. So I'm sharing this here. It's the Stroopwafel s'more. So get some marshmallows. And chocolate or not, I'm not a big chocolate fan with s'mores, but Stroopwafel s'mores with chocolate and marshmallows on it, put on the barbecue for about a minute, both sides, and man, it's one of the best treats you'll ever have.
Oh my God, that's a huge life hack right there.
It's super good, super good.
I actually have some right here.
There you go. Yes.
There we go. So I think after this, I'll try it with a top of coffee.
Oh man, go grab a cup of coffee, put it on top, let it sit there for about a minute, and you'll experience the difference.
Can't wait to try it. So, like, speaking of, like, you just said it, experience the difference. Like, what is the difference? What makes Finger Lickin' Dutch special?
For starters, our goal was to produce the most authentic Dutch Stroopwafels you can find, and no more authentic to not only being in the Netherlands, but pretty close to where it was invented. I mean, it's really hard to get any closer. So that was our number one goal. We did attempt to take a look at what was available via U.S. side, and we just could not find everything that we need to produce in the U.S. mainly from an ingredient source. So when you talk about the Dutch ingredients in the Stroopwafel, there's a lot of things. They're similar, but it's the way that they produce and they grow things a little bit different than how we do in the U.S. So that does alter the taste a little bit. So for us, that was extremely important. Having a Dutch partner, a partner from the Netherlands, that was obviously double extremely important. So we had to make sure that we provide the authentic and real Dutch stroopwafels from Holland to the U.S. And so our authenticity is our biggest differentiator, and we own it, and we just keep it very simple and to the point on how it's originated. And that's what people love and want to see, just the authentic Dutch stroopwafel from Holland to the U.S.
So you guys like import these goods. So like, was there any sort of like halt or any issues you had in 2020? Like how was 2020 for Finger Licking Dutch?
2020 was great. And I say that in terms of our ability to be able to help others in many different ways that we did not. Obviously, 2020, we started our relationship with SnackMagic, which has been great. And that helped. But also for us, we were able to help in many different ways, like, first responders and nurses and doctors, people who needed snacks and goods to do all the work that needed to happen given the COVID situation. So for that alone, that was a win for us. And then we kind of started to excel in other ways, to be able to be in environments and stores and that buyers and people had time to be able to take a look at us because we're a fairly young company, whereas they may not have that much time, prior to the year before or if this pandemic did happen. So for us, we had a very good 2020, and to be able to help solve some problems, some needs, fill some needs that were out there. But also for us, it was a real growth spurt that we look forward to continuing.
I saw on your Instagram that you're on Amazon, you're on Walmart, you're on these bigger, corporations, but, you're also like in these smaller companies, you're in these cafes and SnackMagic and, so like what is the difference? Is there any sort of difference like working between those two kinds of companies?
Other than the quantities, there's really not a lot of difference. There's maybe a SKU or two that we have set aside more for mass, like a TJ Maxx or, Walmart, Amazon, than we do Gasoline Alley, which is in the New York base, a customer we have in New York or something like that. And so, but for the most part, how we deliver to them is all the same. We really have a spot for the coffee shops. That's how we got started. We really got started in the coffee shops. When we got started, we literally took a suitcase, or three to be exact, and we would go through every Philadelphia, New York, LA. We just traveled around with these suitcases full of Stroopwafels and to all the coffee shops and asked people to try our waffles. And so we feel that by those coffee shops giving us a shot early on, we continued to love to serve them by being able to provide them in the exact same pricing and all kind of things that we have had since day one, pinning the coffee shop and the retail location.
Like a true hustler story. Speaking from like, your first date when you tried a Stroopwafel, through, your first order of your own Stroopwafels for finger licking Dutch, what did that process look like for you guys? Like how long did you play with the idea of actually doing it and then, dipping your toes in the water and then actually doing it to the point of being in coffee shops? How long did that take and what was the process like?
Yeah, so it took about a year and 3 months, and which actually was not so bad when you consider what
super fast. Yeah,
I'm getting ready to say here. Number one, I was in sports. I was an athlete first, pro athlete, Cardinals, and then I started some sports business networks after that, leading up to Finger Licking Dutch, and then Femke, she was a teacher for 12 years before she started coming over to Finger Licking Dutch. So neither of us really had a CPG experience or experience in the food, for lack of a better word. So, but what I did have was a lot of entrepreneur skills that kind of transferred over and just, go-getter mentality, right? Just get it done. So we got the first thing that was important for us and we needed to do was get a lot of advice and a lot of mentorship in the space. So that was the first thing we do. We literally formed a complete team in every single aspect, from import to the FDA to every part of operations, the whole nine. And then from there, we kind of learned the things that we felt that we would need to focus on for us. And then kind of, you could say like outsource, so to speak, like the remaining parts that we felt that we would just let those experts handle. And so that's how we got started. And then once we it took a long time. We had to go to Holland, and we talked to producer after producer until we got the right one that was a fit, or we were fit for them. So imagine this, right? American guy, Dutch girl, we're going into Holland. We're like, we want to sell Stroopwafels in America. That's the look. And look, you're like, okay. So that's the look. They're like, okay. So the thing about it is that we had to convince them about our goals and ambitions. Like, we didn't have this laundry list of clientele and customers that we can, like, okay, if you can produce for us, we'll do this. But it's like, no, we know that there's a market there. We believe that we can compete, and your waffles. We want you to produce our waffles from Holland. And so we eventually got the right producer. They believed in us. Got the right team from import and fulfillment and all the above to be able to make it happen. So it is a long process that a lot of people don't see.
For sure. That's really amazing that you build a team of mentorship from everything from operations to packaging to FDA. What was the most rewarding and what was the worst part of that, 15-month period?
When that first container arrived in Philadelphia, you're just like, great, this is the beginning, this is the end to the beginning. And then you're like, okay, now we got to sell these. But that moment right there was a turning point for us that we felt like, okay, let's do this. So now we go into sales mode, so to speak, and do what we need to do to, as we call over here, move waffles, move some waffles.
Love that.
And so, and I would say probably the most tedious and part of it was kind of the FDA process and the whole import process. It was so long, a lot of paperwork, and a lot of, it was like going back to college again for a little bit for us. But even with that too, it was good for us to understand what needed to happen. But, we still have a point person who helps facilitate all those things.
Do you guys have any big plans for 2021?
Our goal this year is to be able to enhance our grocery footprint and some of the more mainstream grocery, and hopefully get a partnership with one of the people in the friendly skies, one of the airlines, things like that. So we have some big goals that we like to accomplish over here, and we're making our way to get that done.
Do you think it's a little bit harder to get in with the grocery stores? Because I've been talking with some brands, and they said that, they've been liking SnackMagic because it's a different, way of getting their product out there. So, how has that been? Has that been super challenging with these COVID restrictions?
I think it's just understanding what this grocery store, those buyers are looking for.
Right.
And for us, it's totally different than what we serve on SnackMagic. And so what we would kind of offer there. And just understanding that. And, I think the best thing for us that has been good for us also is rejection. We've been rejected sometimes already in those aspects. And that feedback has helped us to kind of go back to drawing board. And so when we went back or go back, we know exactly what we need to do to be able to land that account, because they basically told us previously. So I just think it's really understanding what those stores want and how your product fits into it. Mm-hmm. But look, I'm an athlete, so everything's I believe you've got to go for it and be persistent, and that's what is a big part of this CPG world, is just being persistent and tenacious. And sometimes until they be like, all right, finally, I'll let you in the store. I'll get you. I think that's the best thing I always tell people is, I love being in the Stroopwafel industry. I would have never, if I'd have met you 6 years ago or so, whatever, and I would have known what it is, and B, if you'd have said, oh, you're going to be in the cookie industry, I'd have been like, no way. You're like, there's no way. But I love it. It's fun. We have a saying here that we spread love with our Stroopwafels, and we really believe that something as simple as cookie kind of helps people just feel better and feel a little more love, especially times like this. And so that's what we do our best to present in our packaging and in our product is love through Stroopwafels.
Speaking to like, the ideal customer, of course, it can be someone who wants to enhance their morning routine with like Stroopwafel and a coffee. But are there any other like, areas where you think that, finger licking Dutch like belongs, whether it could be in like athlete recovery or fueling up for, an ultra marathon who like needs like, that type of like energy? Like, are there any other areas aside from maybe like breakfast or dessert that you think that it would fit in well?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you just hit on a segment especially for cyclists. Cyclists love our cookies in that aspect, whether they're going on these long rides, and it's more of like a fuel type of scenario for them. So we get our fair share of those customers as well. And then just every believe it or not, we have the everyday gym goer. It's easiest to pop in the bag while they're going to workout, pre or post workout. It's assumed that it's always like but a lot of times it's just carbs that are needed for their workout and things like that. My middle brother's a big time trainer in Orlando, and so he has a ton of clients who always likes our waffles in that aspect. So that's another avenue. You mentioned a coffee, which is a huge avenue, and is really like the pairing with Stroopwafels for us. But there's so many ways. I mean, of course, desserts, you can have it for ice cream. I didn't mention breakfast. It's literally like this experience cookie that you can have like any time of the day, depending on how you want to have it. Do you want to have it for breakfast with a yogurt or with an oatmeal, or if you eat oatmeal or whatever? If you want to have it for lunch, just like as a midday snack. We talked about some desserts as an energy type of waffle. I mean, the list goes on in terms of how you can be able to leverage and consume finger licking Dutch Stroopwafels.
Maybe we can talk specifically about like SnackMagic a little bit. Like, how did you come across the platform? And yeah, what it's been like to be like onboarded and using the portal. Just tell me all.
Yeah, certainly. So SnackMagic, it's been great. Really love the portal. We got connected. Femke, my partner, she got connected with Stephanie. Once there was interest, me and Stephanie connected together. And so it's been a great relationship with SnackMagic. And I believe we're fairly early in the SnackMagic days with the platform and things like that. We love it. We love the portal, the usability of it on both ends, from the customer being able to choose a different type of snacks, and obviously from a vendor like us being able to have all the accesses that we do to be able, to make sure that our inventory and admin is up on the up and up. But it's one of those relationships or partnerships that is pretty straightforward and simple. So, and there's just usually when there's not a lot to say about it is because it works and it's easy. And so that's how we like to deal with things as best as we can. And that's what we feel about SnackMagic, is to the point, you know what you're getting on both ends of the tape. And for us, it's been a great relationship.
It's like very cool to like, be able to speak Dutch and also run like a company in the States that is primarily from Holland.
I have to do it and you can take this back. It's Stroopwafel, not Stroopwafel.
Stroopwafel.
So actually, it looks like Stroop. So us Americans, we say ooh with two O's, but in Holland,
Stroop.
It's Stroop. So I'm giving you the authentic way to say it. Stroopwafel. If you really want to get authentic, I can't even do it. I'd have to bring Femke in to do it. It's like Stroopwafel.
Stroopwafel.
Bro, yeah, there you go. There you go. Sometimes I start speaking Dutch and she's speaking English. It's just like, well, how is this reversed?
That's too funny. Are you guys also doing like business in Holland, or it's primarily just the States right now?
Yeah, we recently started doing some business in Holland with some selected stores and some other locations, Curacao. So actually, if you
I can't wait to be down there and have some finger licking Dutch.
Yeah, find it there, and some other some other Caribbean that we started to expand internationally, but we haven't got a separate distributor and things for that. So it's kind of pretty straightforward. But our main focus is is all things U.S.
I feel like your brand is super recognizable. Like it really sticks out. I've seen it at the grocery stores or at the, I guess, wherever, like I live in Bushwick. So,
Okay.
we get a lot of these like, smaller brands around here. So it's definitely one of those things that I see come up and, it sticks out because you don't really see many here. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, thanks. That's our intention, starting with the name. It's quirky, it's memorable, and generally people's not going to forget either finger licking or the Dutch Stroopwafels. So the intention was for it to stick, and then, but also keep it as authentic as we talked about earlier with, that Dutch feel for the packing and windmill and things like that. Things that people could remember to be able to buy again.
You say you like to travel. If you could travel anywhere right now, no restrictions, no nothing, where would you go?
Bali, Thailand, because those two places that I have not been.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people are going to Bali right now.
Yeah. Bali, Thailand. Yeah.
Yeah, I would have to second you on that. I feel like I've traveled a bunch in my life, but I haven't been to that part of the world yet. And I feel like I totally wanted to go like last fall. And then clearly we all know what happened, in 2020. So it's still, on my soon to-do list.
I think that's where to go. And then I would probably also throw in Dubai as well as another place that I really like to go. And look, the great part is going to be possible soon. So pretty soon this question will be past tense.
Yeah.
True.
For sure. And I think going off that, like, where would you travel? You have 24 hours to spend them however you want. What are you doing in a 24-hour window to make that like the best day ever?
Man, that's tough.
Really, all you have is 24 hours.
Yeah. That's okay. So if we're stick on travel, I would say, look, let's say it's Bali. I'm a big beach bum, hence the Curacao thing. So I love the beach, and I probably would focus it there. But I know it's like people are going to take this really stupid. I generally like to do like work, like this stuff. Like I generally like to do it.
Yeah.
So I probably still would, check a couple of emails and a couple of things just to see what's going on. So I would have that segment to my day, but also love to explore like new culture and local culture, which wherever I am. And that's something that I really like to do. So I will spend all the time probably exploring local culture and, whatever main area there is. So those are things that I would like. Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing, Finger Licking Dutch story, and, your story. We wish you the most success, in business, and look forward to keeping in touch with you and the brand in the months to come.
Mm-hmm.
You guys, thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure, and I look forward to continued success with SnackMagic.